All right, Jarvis Landry goes off, doesn't he, Mike?
Yeah, he sat down with Leonard Fournette on the Fourth and South podcast, excuse me. And there was 2 clips from that caught our attention. So we're going to do the first one, then we'll do the second one. The first one is in regards to play calling. And in case you missed it, this is what Jarvis Landry and Leonard Fournette had to say in regards to Kevin Stefanski possibly giving up play calling for a 3rd time in his 6 years as the Browns head coach. Let's take a listen.
I know when I was there for 100% fact, when we were struggling as an offense, I know Kevin Stefanski himself gave up play calling to AVP. The same thing that he's done, that we have guys that have told us that he's done throughout the years of not being able to get it done as a play caller and then putting it off on somebody else. Then the team gets success and then he takes over play calling again. I don't know how much history he's going to have as a head coach. But again, with this record, only thing he really got going for him is those 2-time Coach of the Year.
I love that. The only thing he's got going for him is a 2-time Coach of the Year. That's not nothing. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, did you enjoy the play? So that is kind of burying the lead a little bit. But what was interesting to me, and Mike, it wouldn't have been giving up play calling for a 3rd time. It would have been giving up play calling for a 1st time. We never heard that.
Well, I mean, 3rd time in his tenure as the Browns.
Right. Yeah, but it would have been his 1st time, and then when he gave it up for the second time,
that was the
first that we knew of it. I don't know, and I'm not going to say that Jarvis isn't telling the complete truth here, but I don't think he really said that with his chest. And how in the world could that have possibly happened and no one in the media ever found out?
That's crazy because Jarvis Landry, I've never known Jarvis Landry to be a hot take artist.
He's not.
He looks like he was the dude in Hard Knocks that was coming around telling people, hey, listen, we're going to be playing hard. Earl called me. He called me. He said, G. Bush, did you see this? I said, I didn't see it, bro. He called me on the way home. I was going away from dinner. I said, yeah, I thought he gave it up to Alex Van Pelt. You know, he gave it. He said, no. Jarvis said before that. He said during his tenure before he gave it up the 1st time, so that would make 3 times. Now, for me, I don't know. Now, I did think it was kind of, I don't want to say strange, but Kevin, right now, he's not going to be the play caller in Atlanta, right?
No.
I think Alex Van Pelt is going to be the play caller there right now.
No, Tommy.
So
Tommy's the offensive coordinator in Atlanta. Tommy's calling the plays.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So this was first I heard it. I knew he gave it up twice. But I thought it was interesting that he said, now that would mean that it would be the playoff run, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yes, it was. Wasn't that the playoff season?
Jarvis was gone by then. That's where I'm a little confused.
And I am too, because he was saying like he'd heard this secondhand from guys that were still on the team.
Play it again. He said when he was there.
So, no, Jarvis was here during the first playoff run.
First playoff.
Jarvis was there in 2020 and 2021.
So this is why I wish he would have been just a little bit more specific.
Yeah, I would like to ask him that too.
Because in 2020, everything was great. That was the COVID year. Nobody was in the building. There's a reason that they had the most success that they've had because nobody else was in the building. It was just football. So I don't think he was insinuating then. Jarvis' only other year in Cleveland was 2021. That's when Baker hurt his shoulder and everything. And he made it like, play the clip again. He said Kevin gave it up and pulled it back. Well, where in the schedule?
Do you guys want to hear it again? We can play it again.
At least the beginning of it.
It's just 35 seconds, so we'll play the whole thing. This is the clip again.
I know when I was there for 100% fact, when we were struggling as an offense, I know Kevin Stefanski himself gave up play calling to AVP. The same thing that he's done, that we have guys that have told us that he's done throughout the years of not being able to get it done as a play caller and then putting it off on somebody else. Then the team gets success and then he takes over play calling again. I don't know how much history he's going to have as a head coach. But again, with this record, only thing he really got going for him is those 2-time Coach of the Year.
Now that gotta mean 2021.
Okay, so here is 2021. Loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. Now you tell me where in there he was going to give up play calling and then take it back. I'm not saying
there were 3 losses in a row in weeks 12 through 15.
So then they lost 3 in a row and then he took it back for the final game of the season?
No, he may have given it up.
He said he took it back.
Well, does that mean 20 or 21?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, there's too much vagueness to it.
and
there were some edit points in there. I'm always hesitant to
I went
respond.
back and watched the pod.
Did you
I
see the
watched
whole
actual-
thing?
I
Because there
it
were
was an hour
edit
and a half.
points in that soundbite. I'm always leery of that.
I wasn't
Well, it was
listening
an
to
hour and a half
I
pod,
wasn't
so we
listening
had
to
to-
an hour and a half.
Yeah, I know,
podcast.
but when there are edit points,
But no,
things get twisted.
This was right at the start, so I
Yeah.
listened to the first, and that edit is clean. Like that's
Okay.
Nothing was taken out of context with that. So I just would like to know when, like if he was that, what year, what weeks did this happen? Because do you ever recall Kevin not having the Denny's menu?
He always had
He
it.
always
had
had
the
it
menu.
until he gave up the play calling, and then he didn't have it. The only thing that it was my understanding at one point, Alex would script the first handful of plays coming out of the half when the Browns got the ball first. That's the only, and I had kind of heard that a couple years ago, that when you're when you're going to the half, you're coming out of the half, there's just a lot going on. And when you're getting the ball, it's helpful to have the first few plays scripted. So to my knowledge, and again, like Jarvis is there, I'm not saying he's lying. I'm just saying the only thing that I've been told, or it was my understanding, was AVP would script the first handful of plays during, I don't remember when it was, what year it was, coming out of the timeout.
Yeah.
Or I'm coming out of the half.
Halftime.
Like
That does make sense,
We're going
too.
to start with these first 3 or 4 plays.
Right.
That's the only thing that I had ever heard.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of everything that he said.
It seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, it seems to me that Jarvis is, that there's mudslinging going on at Kevin. Right?
I mean,
The reason I say that is because, and it seemed to be the tenor of Fournette too, that this guy can't coach.
oh, that's exactly what they were saying.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't the only one that's seeing that. They're basically saying, I mean, outside of his 2 Coach of the Years, what else does he have? Well, that's like saying that, outside of a guy that won one Super Bowl, what else does he have? Well, he won a Super
There's
Bowl.
a big difference in 2 Coach of the Years.
Well, there's a huge difference because it's a vote.
Hey.
But you can't diminish the Coach of the Years as if to say, what else does he have? But it seemed to me that the bent of that podcast was, for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe he didn't like Kevin.
It
but it
started
seems to
off-
me that the whole thrust of that was, Kevin Stefanski's not a good coach.
Well, Kevin was the last coach you had in Cleveland.
Yes.
And it didn't go well
And
at the end.
ended his time in Cleveland.
Yes, it did.
And so
that would be the end.
I don't know.
I look at it like this. I listened to the podcast. Leonard Fournette came out earlier, and he said he wasn't a big fan of Kevin Stefanski.
Well, that came through very
And
plainly.
he's not a big fan. So
Yeah.
then Jarvis Landry, in the first part, he was like, Jarvis did give him credit. He did say in that first part of the interview that when Kevin got here and they had that playoff run, that, 2020, everything was cool.
That's the second soundbite we're going to run.
The players liked him.
We're gonna run that coming
However,
up.
it kind of fell off a little bit at the end, and then he gets into this commentary. Now, I will say, listen, he said with 100%. Now, I got to take your word. If you going to speak that, I think that's saying it with your chest. 100% accurate. He said, I'm 100% sure that he gave up play calling when I was there.
Yeah.
Now, I would have liked to specifically know
when,
like the context around it, but we have known Kevin Stefanski to give up play calling 2 other times. So, I mean, there are times where he has given up that play calling.
I think it's the stunning thing to me. Again, I can't call him a liar. He was in the locker room. He knows, and he's got the respect. I respected Jarvis as a player and as a person.
I don't know how that doesn't get out.
That's my point, Jason. My point to you is, with all of the beat reporters and all of the moles that organizations have that want to spin things their own way, that nobody would have picked up the phone and said, hey, you might want to push Kevin on who's calling the plays because it's not him.
I mean, it was
would have gotten out in my experience.
There were points where it was sort of a weekly occurrence of
who's going to call plays.
Yeah.
And he was answering those questions weekly.
And had that happened, I'm surprised. If that's the way it went, I'm surprised it didn't get out. But we're at the point in all this where I've been telling you guys for years, the league views Kevin differently than Cleveland does.
No question.
And that has been proven out. Look how many teams lined up to interview.
Yep.
Look, the league is telling you they believe it was a Cleveland problem. It was not a Kevin problem. We're going to find out in about 6 months who was right. Because Browns fans want to put it all on Kevin, and I get it.
Yeah.
It's easy to put it all on Kevin because now he's gone, so now things are going to be fixed, right?
Yes.
So that gives you hope. So I totally understand why they feel that way. I'm not necessarily buying it that it was true. We're going to find out in about 6 months.
The beauty of all of this drama, and really the Jarvis situation goes back to the fracturing of the locker room, if you guys remember, was centered around Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham.
Yes.
That's where this all came off the rails. And so what I think 2026 is for Browns fans and for even NFL observers that aren't in the petri dish of Cleveland or Atlanta, and we always say the beauty is we're going to find out. Like, you can't always be fraudulent. If he's fraudulent, he's going to be proven out.
Yeah.
You can't always get glow when you deserve some blame. It always comes out in the wash. That's the beauty of the NFL. It's a meritocracy. And I think 2026 is going to be a referendum on a lot of people. It's going to be a referendum on Kevin Stefanski. What is he? What is he in an environment that has better culture? What will he be?
Yeah.
So we're going to answer that question. Also, it's not just a Shedeur Sanders referendum. It's also a Deshaun Watson referendum. If either one of these two rise from the ashes and go 12-5, that affects
12-5.
Hey man, I'm reaching for the stars,
He's
brother.
praying for 8.
Listen,
you got him at 12.
I'm not predicting. I'm saying if this were to happen, it would be so overwhelming that you then would turn your eyes to Atlanta and say, Kevin, you were the problem.
Yeah.
We're going to find out because, as I always say, it's like the beauty of an experiment is that when you have a control in that experiment and you remove that control and then run the same thing back, what results do you get?
And they ran it back.
We're going to figure out what Cleveland is.
It's Cleveland
is
South now.
Is Cleveland really 4-13, 5-12, or are they an 11-6, 12-5 without Kevin?
The thing I thought was interesting was Jarvis said in 2020 everything was cool, right? Well, 2020 is when they were the most high-functioning version because there was nobody in the building, because it was COVID, because they had talent, because they were healthy.
Yeah.
Starting in 2021 is when everything started to spiral because Baker got hurt, and then the Deshaun trade, and then everything else. But the 1 year when they actually functioned like an NFL team where they had no distractions, where there was nobody else in the building, you saw the results.
But that's life.
Maybe the only good thing ever to come from COVID.
Hey, listen.
The Browns were a winner.
But I will say, I don't necessarily think it's the Cleveland, it's city of Cleveland versus them. I think that Kevin Stefanski, he has a player's problem. Baker has.
Well, we'll find out.
Baker, Odell, Jarvis, Myles Garrett.
We're going to find out in Atlanta for sure.
So we're going to see. Now, I always said this. I want to get to a point where I don't. Kevin ain't here no more. I'm trying to talk about the Cleveland Browns.
let me grease the skids for you. Atlanta will be a story here in Cleveland all year long.
Oh, it's gonna be.
Whether they start 5-0 or 0-5, it's going to be talked about. So get used to it.
Oh no!
We can't wish that away.
No. And I already done said, under no circumstances we can lose to the Falcons. That's
your Super Bowl.
That to me, I'm like, nah. Under no circumstances can Kevin Stefanski come here cooking. I don't want B. John Robinson scoring. I don't want Tua looking like he's good. I don't want none of that. You know why? Because then we out here looking crazy. No. He's not going. We had 13 points when Kevin was here. He better not be getting 55 points, Miles. We need that to stop.
That's the game, really. I mean, in the macro, the whole 26th season is a referendum. But if you're looking for one game, you can only watch 3 hours of football this year. That's got to be it.
Yeah, but I still don't think that rises to the level of the Browns against Baker in Carolina opening week. That to me,
that was big too.
That was
Forced
higher.
ball to puke.
That was huge.
That was higher than anything.
Yeah, it led to throwing up on air.
I don't know, man.
You think this is bigger? I don't think it's bigger.
Because it's Deshaun.
Facing Baker week 1, that was pretty.
It's Deshaun Watson.
It was intense.
Not only is Deshaun, it's Shedeur Sanders, is Prime, and you still got Andrew Berry.
Go back.
Yeah.
Y'all shaking hands, Andrew?
Go back and watch Jimmy. Go back and watch Jimmy celebrate the Cade York field goal at Carolina. That man looked like he just won the Super Bowl.
That was
It was a week 1 win.
It was. We took that.
And after that, it was a wrap.